Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT News, and wow, I woke up really confused this morning about the news that has just dropped. The C9 at T1 trade that has gone down, like after they played a match last night. Xeta gone from the C9 organisation, Curry coming in instead. Why has this happened? What's going on? We've got so much to talk about today. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Like honestly, rocketing towards 20k, just love to see it. Now we've also got some matches to talk about from last night. We'll talk about the EMEA side first. This was rather funny though actually, because NRG kind of tweeted at TSM, their matchup went down last night. If we beat you on Sunday, you have to change your profile picture to something we decide. They bounced back with this one, the surprise one, but unfortunately they don't win the series. We'll see that too in a second. Just speaking of EMEA, I thought this is pretty funny first of all. Like apparently Liquid, there were some scrims going on right here against Radsky and the guys, and apparently Scream accidentally had left invulnerability on, and they were playing a scrim against Scream and Team Liquid, and he was after 10 rounds, he was 28-0, and he was thinking, wow, I'm having the absolute game of my life right here in this scrim. Turns out they couldn't even kill him. Eventually they realised, because I think there was like a boo bot or something, and they were trying to shoot it and it wouldn't die. So like, I thought that was rather funny. We'll talk about the games though from EMEA quicker than we usually do, just because we've got plenty to discuss here in a second. But it's actually Gambit or M3 champions. They go down to Guild. Really surprising result here. Pretty comfortable, honestly, 2-0 victory for Guild. They've been looking impressive as of late. As I say, there's more to talk about really with these series, but we've got plenty to dive into. 13-9 here on Ascent, 13-6 here on Haven. So demolition job really of M3C. The other series that went down was G2 versus Focus. This is a much closer fought affair. I thought it was a really interesting set of matches actually. So Fracture was 14-12 for G2, Icebox was 13-11. So Focus, this team that got really thrown into the group of death, you could well argue there, in that group A with G2 and so many other good teams. We'll see the group standings actually right here. This is what it looks like. Of course, Focus in this group with FPX, Fnatic, G2 Ascends, like OG London. So this group is absolutely stacked, and they've been looking really good as well actually, as even Mixwell says. 1-2-0 against Focus. When I did the interview in Berlin, I said that they were the best team from regional leagues. Fun games, well played guys. So apparently Focus really could put up a fight in this group, but of course G2 get the result they are looking for. Now let's dive into the North American side then. So firstly, we've talked a few days ago about the kind of pseudo franchising ecosystem that Riot are looking to bring in next year for Valorant, where teams across the Americas, kind of EMEA or Europe in general, and then Asia, there's going to be 3 like mega regions effectively, where organizations can try and partner with Riot. I think Riot will even give them money in the short term for their kind of long-term support and future investment to the league in general, and to the kind of franchise ecosystem as it kind of will become. So these teams are kind of going to be partners to the point where they probably can't get relegated. Like, you know, I don't exactly know how it's going to work, but it's going to move towards a franchise ecosystem like American sports, or, you know, like a League of Legends have or something that, you know, you guys might be relatively familiar with. Now, TSM have said they are applying it to become a part of Valorant's partnership model. Of course, a lot of the top organizations, especially from North America, your Optic, 100 Thieves, Sentinels, like TSM, right? These organizations are all more than likely going to get a spot, and we'll talk about T1 here in a second, because they're also trying to do the same thing. But yes, TSM are going to try and, you know, become one of these partners that they have in the league next season. I think there might be some non-partners as well in the league, but you know, maybe there's going to be some weird thing where they can get relegated or whatever the situation might exactly happen to be. Now, well, they do play a game last night up against NRG, and it must be said, NRG, like TSM look pretty good, especially in this map 1, but NRG are like honestly just ridiculous. Since they've added Ethan into the team, they're looking incredibly strong. They have not lost a map yet with Ethan. This of course was their first match here of the VTT itself, but yeah, I mean, look at this flank here from Corey, crucially done with the Sheriff, and well, ends up winning this round, but it's not enough. It goes to overtime. They force overtime right here, TSM do. Like, I don't really know how they even managed to do this, to be honest, because this round looked pretty much unwinnable, but I'm not really sure what Som's doing pushing through this smoke. If he just stays in that, they probably win the entire thing, but anyway, it goes to overtime, but NRG eventually close this one out. They take it 15-13 here, so really hard fought breeze, but in the end, NRG take down TSM. They also win the game 2 as well, and they win this series again. So look at all these qualification games. Since Ethan has joined this team, they've beaten everyone they've played. Lenny Time, Zero Marksman Black, Knights, version 1, and TSM right in the qualifiers, and then of course into the regular stage as well. So impressive stuff. TSM had to change their profile picture kind of as a result right here, and a 2-0 over TSM for NRG. Stats look like this, as I say. I would talk about it a little bit more. We've got some FaZe coming out from both sides. Always thought that was rather interesting. Jet honestly kind of been used relatively sparingly here, so that's kind of interesting as well. So the move away from Jet does seem to be continuing to a degree, but I mean, yeah, Breeze and Ascent was actually 13-10 in favor of NRG to close this one out. So NRG looking really solid right now. This Ethan pickup seems to be working really well for them on the KO, no less. Now the second series was Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses. This again was a 2-0. Like, it was a really close series though. Like, game 1 here for Cloud9, I was like, okay, wow, kind of surprised here Cloud9 are getting taken to overtime by EG. Like, I mean, Xeta had a beautiful long-range 3k with the Spectre here to close out this round. But we'll see some more incredible news about Xeta here in just a second. So honestly, couldn't believe what's happening here. So anyway, they win this first game, they win the second game as well. They close out this one one in overtime. Actually, was a really tight 4 map, but they close out the second map, and it's a 2-0 over Cloud9. They move on. Great stuff. Like, okay, they move on, right? Top 3 team in North America, going for top 2 probably, right? Because last time they came 3rd, but the guard didn't look great the other day. They're looking to actually qualify here for Masters the second time around. You'd have thought they were in the perfect position to do so, given how strong they looked at even champions last year into the start of this season. Fracture was 13-9 in their favour, but all of a sudden, after this series was over, we got this announcement from George Getters. Cloud9 is set to add T1 Curry in place of Xeta. Curry will play against Optic next week. C9 failed to add him in time for this week's matches. So people are like, okay, what is going on here? Why have Cloud9 just won a series and now Xeta's going to be dropped? Turns out he hasn't really been dropped, but indeed he has left this team, and Curry from T1 has indeed been effectively traded to Cloud9. So this is honestly remarkable, and Cloud9 confirm right after they won this series that Xeta and Autumn, their kind of coach, that was their last match with the Cloud9 VALORANT team. Happy we ended our time together with a win. We wished you the best of luck with your new team, and they move over to T1. So this is remarkable, right? Because Xeta has had great success in this team, as I guess as Autumn, but as kind of Korean players, maybe they want an organization with a bit more Korean heritage, try something a bit different. Felt like maybe this Cloud9 team was stagnating, but given Cloud9's good position, right, and their success that they've had and their ability to actually compete in the VCT, and now like they're going to move to T1, an organization that obviously did not qualify. Of course, they're looking forward to franchising and this type of thing, which more than likely they have a very good chance for. We'll see that here in a second. Like this is honestly pretty mind-blowing stuff. And now Xeta confirms, because well, T1 confirmed right after that yes, Xeta will be joining the T1 VALORANT squad. And as he says, I'd like to announce I'm going to be transferred to T1 to start a new career. I was honored to be playing with such good teammates and stuff around me, but again, I want to say thank you for taking care of me so well over at his time, I guess, at Cloud9. But unbelievable scenes. Now, as Vanity says, thank you to Sonny, I guess that being Xeta, for being one of the hardest working teammates I've had the pleasure to play with. Thank you, Autumn, for believing in me and give me a chance. He's starting to see what you two guys do in the future, and it will Xeta with some nice words here for Vanity in the reply. So weird, kind of interesting situation, right? Because okay, they're saying goodbye on good terms. It doesn't seem like they've kind of kicked Xeta and Autumn and don't want to go down that direction anymore. Effectively, these guys decided to leave the team. Jackie Etienne's going to explain it in a second. Autumn also joined as the kind of new head coach for the T1 roster, but make no mistake, this T1 organization did not qualify. Their VALORANT team did not qualify for the, well, kind of stage 2. They also did not qualify for stage 1. So they have like no circuit points, which means they will not have enough circuit points to get to the last chance qualifier, which means that Autumn and Xeta will not be playing or not be competing really for the rest of the season. So Xeta's kind of turned down the chance to compete with Cloud9, to compete for stage 2 Masters, for Champions, to try and win it, and instead has moved to T1. And effectively, I don't really know what they're going to do for the next few months. There are going to be like third-party tournaments and stuff, and they're going to probably rebuild their roster ahead of next season, but still, a really interesting circumstance. Now, as Jack Etienne points out from Cloud9, Xeta and Autumn have been wonderful to work with, but in the end, they were ready for a new challenge, and I've always supported these requests by players and coaches where possible. The entire team and myself wish them well. So basically saying like, look, they wanted to leave. They wanted out of here. They kind of wanted a new challenge, I suppose, over at that T1 organization, maybe an organization with a bit more Korean heritage, right, compared to kind of Cloud9, and of course Xeta and Autumn, I guess, the only Korean guys on that team, probably wanted a little bit of a change of scenery, but are still rather remarkable. Now, there seems to be part of T1's kind of plan to get into this kind of franchise ecosystem as well, because we were kind of theorizing with T1's awful result. I mean, their team has so far underperformed expectations without even failing to qualify, right, for both VCT main events, as they call them nowadays. We were wondering, are they just going to blow this entire team up and then like maybe move to Korea, right, and actually have a kind of team in the Asian region instead of North America? They are committed to the North American region, as they describe right here. So as Jomar says from T1, our plan is to stay in North America. After meeting with Steel, of course, their current current IGL, who apparently is going to stay, and our GM, we felt that the success we had with the mixed nationality roster, when Sire player was with us, of course, they made him rename to Spider or something, and he's got significantly better since he's gone to the guards. But as he said, that was the best pass forward for us, and therefore we have scouts in both US and Korea, which gives us a larger pool to pull from. It's not every day you can trade for a coach like Autumn and a player like Xeta. So saying that their plan is to still be a North American team, they're going to get Xeta and get Autumn in, potentially bring some other Korean players or US players or whatever they want to do. Steel may well stay on there as the IGL. Who knows what's going to happen to the rest of the team, but they're going to build an entirely different roster for next season, which will include Xeta as it was their player, and Autumn, of course, as their coach after David Dennis got kicked just a few days ago. And as Jomar, the CEO, goes on to describe, our focus is on staying in North America for Valorant. I'm excited to add 2 huge pieces to that puzzle. So they're certainly planning ahead. They're planning many months out for next season, getting Xeta on board, and then, of course, I guess him and Autumn were down to do it, right? And we're down to leave Cloud9 and the potential that they seemingly had and showed and potentially have in the future to join T1, an organization that will not be playing for quite some time. So a very confusing set of circumstances, right? I think you guys will agree why this has happened now. for, and you know, exactly what they're going to do for the next few months as they try and, I guess, honestly, they were probably promised that, you know, T1 will get involved as a partner for next season. You would certainly expect Riot to do that, given their history, their pedigree, and if they do, then maybe this is going to work out as a very sensible decision. But of course, Cloud9 leaves them in a rather difficult spot, right? Can they live up to the kind of level that they reached when Xeta was a part of the lineup? And as kind of Xeta says right here, this is kind of what we saw right earlier. Even Zom says, you know, bet, see you in T1, says Xeta, and then Zom says like, you know, shush, don't talk about it too much. So of course they've got to build a roster, right? And with Zom's currently on the bench of the Sentinels, like, is he going to go to another organization? Could T1 make sense? I'm sure he's trolling you and just messing around, but of course they're going to have to build some sort of a roster, and who knows if Zoms wants to come back to playing and kind of get his own back on Sentinels, I suppose, for dropping him, as we've seen these last few days. Now, of course, for Cloud9, they needed a player, right? So we actually get a trade inbound when Curry from T1, one of their better players, joins at Cloud9 in place of Xeta, right? So Curry's in, Zeta's out, and as Curry says, repping the blue and white this time, see you guys next week. So unbelievable scenes. Maybe he will kind of inject some new life to the team, because if Zeta's been wanting to leave for quite some time and Autumn's been wanting to go as well, of course, they've got to think about what they do from a coaching perspective over there also at Cloud9. But if Xeta has been wanting out, the chemistry, the kind of practice maybe hasn't been quite as good as it could have been with a player that's kind of super hungry and driven in the teams. Who knows if this change can kind of catapult them back to where they were as the best team in North America briefly. Not the case anymore. Derek from 100 Thieves, understandably confused. Maybe he's talking about other situations, that kind of Mavs and Suns game that was going on yesterday, or maybe he's talking about this old T1 stuff, right? What is going on? Because it's tough to kind of explain, but very much intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below. How do you think this goes going forwards, right? Because T1, they've got a fair few months to do. Like Cloud9 actually going to be any good with this new roster with Curry in the team? Is it going to kind of restrict their potential? And what does this really mean for the future of North American Valorant? So yeah, intrigued to your perspective on that one. Just to finish up with this, kind of just to close around the video on the loop. This is the first week of matches that we have seen in both groups. Group A looks like this: 100 Thieves, Xeta, NRG, the three teams that won. TSM, of course, are still there, at least on round 4 and round against right now in 4th place. But of course, they're going to have to start winning. Group B is no doubt stacked. Optic, Cloud9, and Luminosity. Those are the three teams. Like, both these groups are really tough to call. Very much intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us your YouTube gods, this is a good video, and I think you should see it as well, and grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.